What if I told you that the most powerful first lady in American history once believed she was worthless? That the woman who stood before the United Nations, defending human rights for all people, was once so painfully shy she could barely look others in the eye? This is not just the story of Eleanor Roosevelt. This is the story of transformation, of courage, and of becoming a voice for those who had none. So, grab a seat, because today, we're diving deep into the extraordinary life of a woman who reshaped the role of First Lady, redefined what it means to lead, and left behind a legacy that still echoes around the world. Eleanor Roosevelt was born on October 11, 1884, into one of the most prominent families in America, the Roosevelt family. Yes, those Roosevelts. Her uncle was none other than Theodore Roosevelt, who would later become president. From the outside, she seemed destined for a privileged life. But behind closed doors, Eleanor's world was filled with loneliness, sadness, and heartbreak. Her mother, Anna Hall Roosevelt, was a beautiful socialite who often belittled Eleanor, calling her "Granny" for her serious demeanor and plain looks. Her father, Elliott Roosevelt, Theodore's younger brother, was charming and loving, but also an alcoholic who was in and out of institutions. By the time Eleanor was 10 years old, both of her parents had died. She became an orphan and was sent to live with her grandmother. Her early life was marked by grief and a crushing lack of self-esteem. But pain has a strange way of shaping people. Everything changed when Eleanor was sent to Allenswood Academy, a finishing school in England. There, under the mentorship of Marie Sylvester, a radical headmistress who encouraged independent thought, Eleanor blossomed. For the first time, she was told her voice mattered. She began to see that she wasn't invisible. She wasn't weak. She had power, intellectual power, emotional power. And that changed everything. When she returned to New York, she was no longer the timid girl in the corner. She volunteered with the Junior League, taught immigrant children, and became increasingly involved in social reform. In 1905, Eleanor married Franklin Delano Roosevelt, her fifth cousin once removed. Yes, that FDR, the man who would become the 32nd President of the United States. At first, she played the traditional role of wife and mother, raising their 6 children, though only 5 survived infancy. But life threw them a curveball. In 1921, at the age of 39, Franklin was struck by polio, which left him paralyzed from the waist down. Many believed his political career was over. But Eleanor didn't give up. Not on him. Not on their future. In fact, she became his eyes and ears, traveling across the country, attending political events, connecting with the people, something no First Lady had ever done before. And through this, she found her voice. When Franklin was elected president in 1932, during the darkest days of the Great Depression, the nation didn't just get a new leader, it got 2. Eleanor Roosevelt revolutionized the role of First Lady. She held press conferences, but only allowed female reporters, helping women gain a foothold in journalism. She wrote a daily column called My Day, which ran in newspapers across the country for over 25 years. She visited coal mines, talked to soldiers, walked into impoverished communities, and listened. Really listened. She advocated for civil rights, supported anti-lynching legislation, and stood up to her critics, even when it made her unpopular. When the Daughters of the American Revolution refused to let African-American opera singer Marian Anderson perform at Constitution Hall, Eleanor resigned in protest. She then arranged for Anderson to perform on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, an act that would go down in history. Eleanor wasn't just the president's wife. She was a leader in her own right. But let's not pretend it was a perfect life. Eleanor's marriage was complicated. 1918, she discovered Franklin had been having an affair with her social secretary, Lucy Mercer. It devastated her. From that moment on, their relationship became more of a partnership than a romantic union. And yet, she stayed. Not out of weakness, but out of a sense of duty and mutual respect. Eleanor also formed close relationships of her own, particularly with journalist Lorena Hickok, a friendship so intense and intimate that historians still debate its nature. But Eleanor never let heartbreak define her. She used every scar, every disappointment, as fuel. She turned her personal. In 1918, she discovered Franklin had been having an affair with her social secretary, Lucy Mercer. It devastated her. From that moment on, their relationship became more of a partnership than a romantic union. And yet, she stayed. Not out of weakness, but out of a sense of duty and mutual respect. Eleanor also formed close relationships of her own, particularly with journalist Lorena Hickok, a friendship so intense and intimate that historians still debate its nature. But Eleanor never let heartbreak define her. She used every scar, every disappointment, as fuel. She turned her personal pain into public purpose. After Franklin's death in 1945, many expected Eleanor to retire quietly. Instead, she stepped onto the world stage. President Harry Truman appointed her to the first U.S. delegation to the United Nations. There, she chaired the committee that drafted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was adopted in 1948. Think about that. The lonely, orphaned girl who once felt invisible was now writing the most powerful document on human dignity the world had ever seen. She said, "Where, after all, do universal human rights begin? In small places, close to home." She never stopped believing in the power of the individual. In her later years, Eleanor Roosevelt continued to travel, speak, and inspire. She supported youth programs, women's rights, civil rights, and international diplomacy. Even after being diagnosed with aplastic anemia, she kept working, giving interviews, and offering her wisdom until her death on November 7, 1962. She was 78 years old. President Truman once called her the First Lady of the World. And he meant it. No one, not before or since, has worn that title quite like Eleanor. Eleanor Roosevelt was not born strong. She built her strength, step by step, wound by wound, year by year. She transformed herself from a grieving child into one of the most powerful human rights advocates in modern history. Her life is a reminder that leadership isn't about titles, it's about courage. That change doesn't start in government, it starts in the hearts of ordinary people. And that the ones who feel invisible today, might be the ones who change the world tomorrow. So if you've ever felt unworthy, unheard, or underestimated, remember Eleanor. She didn't wait for permission to make history. She claimed her place in it. And so can you. If this story inspired you, please leave a comment below with your favorite Eleanor Roosevelt quote, or let us know who you'd like to learn about next.